Yo, welcome to another episode of Sports Talk. This is the Coaching Controversial Podcast. I am your host, Simply Nicholas, 1987, and my co-host T. Harden and D. Ron. What's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing
Happy
this
to be
evening?
here. Happy to
Hey,
be here.
oh yeah, we got a good one tonight, fellas. So let's check this out. For y'all that ain't subscribed to the channel, y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, share this video. Uh, Leave any kind of comment you want to in the chat. Let's try to be positive. No negative comments. All right, guys. Tonight we got a special guest in the building. Uh, he is the head football coach of the Anson Senior High Bearcats. Um, Great guy. Know he does a lot for the community around here. So I'd like to welcome Coach Jackson to the stream. Coach Jackson,
Yes, sir.
how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We're
Doing
doing
good,
great.
man.
Good.
I'm great. I'm great. Got the
Same
main
here.
event. Got a main event player up in here.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
It's an
exactly.
honor. It's
Well,
an
thank
honor.
you. No, it's an honor for me, guys, to be honest with you. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming up here, man, and coming up here and chatting with us for a little bit, man.
Well, the opportunity presented itself, and I definitely couldn't turn it down. And anything I can do to promote Anson football in Anson County, I'm there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Anybody want to start off some questions?
You know, hey, you know what? You know I'm ready, Nick. You know
All
I'm
right,
ready.
you got it first, baby.
All right, man. Now I'm gonna start. Hey, coach, I always gas you up, man. And one of the critiques I've always gotten is I always ask the questions that position everything to come to give a positive answer. So I gotta start out with kind of like the tough critical questions now, so I can at least show that I'm fair and I'm not biased. So
Absolutely.
one of the things I wanted to talk about that's impressed me, and I've noticed this over the last 5 years, and it's a negative. It's our special teams, our punt return coverage, and our kick return coverage under this tenure has been pretty bad. I've noticed, if I'm not mistaken, in each season you've been here, I've noticed that we've given up at least one kickoff or punt return touchdown, and at least in a game at some point. Even going back to the very first kickoff of your tenure in 2015 against Forest Hill, opened the game off kickoff or a punt that was taken back to the house for a touchdown. It ended up
Hmm.
being a difference in the game. The game I think was 13-6, so
Yes, sir.
that ended up being a difference. I remember against Lee County last year, opening kickoff went for a touchdown.
Absolutely.
Against Mount Pleasant, the difference in the game late in the game was after taking a go ahead
Hmm.
touchdown.
Yep.
Kickoff led to a touchdown, which ended up ultimately being the difference in a 14-9 ball game. So my question is, man, what's the root of that? And like at some point, how are we gonna? What's been done to emphasize to get that cleaned up?
Well, we have taken steps to try to improve special teams since I've been here. Now we've started giving out awards, trying to make it uh, an incentive thing where guys can actually receive a trophy, stickers, and all that stuff for special teams. But let me say this: in this day and age, it's hard to get high school kids that want to be superstars to understand the importance of special teams because
Thanks.
they look at things as
That's
if I'm
true.
not on offense or defense, then I mean I'm just a utility player. So as a coach, we're trying to stress how important special teams are into the game. Like you said, you just named three or four different situations there that cost us the game. And we go back that following Monday after every one of those games and we reiterate those things to our guys, but it's difficult getting them to understand it. So, and I'm not blaming the guys. Everything that I'm telling you is on me because I'm the head coach, and we have tried to remedy that, and we are still trying to remedy that. So we're going to try to boost it up this year to where these guys get a little more recognition, and where we're going to give out the little coupons to go to Pizza Hut or Papa Joe's Pizza for special teams awards this year.
Nice, nice. I'm gonna yield to one of my colleagues for the next one.
I got a question for you, Coach. Nice to meet you or hear from you, Coach Jackson.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
um, I'm just going with a lighter note question. what inspired you to get into coaching, and what makes you motivated to continue to do that?
Now, I can give you the political answer, or I can give you my true answer. In high school, I still respect my coach to this day. I don't have any negative vibes towards him by no means, but he was a coach that actually wanted to just win 5 or 6 games to keep himself in the winning category. He never motivated me. He never pushed me. He never held me accountable. And not until and if those things would have happened early, I think things probably could have been a lot differently for me. But not until I got to Fayetteville State did I see what accountability was. Did I see what commitment was to football? So what motivated me was I looked at myself and I know that I didn't get everything I could out of high school. So I want to give back to our community and to our kids, hoping that I can prevent a kid being, I'm not going to say mistreated, but misguided by a coach that just cares about wins and losses and not about the person.
Fact.
Good. That's I would say, just to say from that, we don't see that too much often, caring about the kid and
Yes,
wanting
sir.
them to be successful. And that's a great
Yes.
thing. That's a good thing that I think kids need to kind of keep them grounded and motivated to keep going forward.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Well, and to piggyback off that, and I think I've told Terrell this story over and over again. Like when I first got to Anson, you know, my first semester there, we had about 24 kids that were in summer school. And I met with my coaching staff late that spring, and I was like, this can't happen again. Now, up until the pandemic, that following year, we had one kid that had to go to summer school, and we haven't had to have any other kids to go to summer school up until this time here. Now, the pandemic has changed everything and has pushed us back into that realm of summer school. So right now we got a bunch of kids that we're trying to get back in the classroom, trying to make sure they remain eligible, so they will be in summer school. But it took us 6 months to get these kids to understand that you're going to be held accountable for what you do or don't do in the classroom. So kudos to our kids because they really bought into it. They brought into the weight room, everything that we brought other than special teams, Terrell. So I do apologize to you for that.
Hey,
But yeah,
Nick, before
go
sorry,
ahead.
man.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, Nick, and before you get yours, I did want to follow up on that since he was talking about the off season. We had an abbreviated spring season due
Yeah.
to COVID. Even going into that season, it was obvious you didn't have your full arsenal of guys. Because I
Yes.
know that you don't play guys both ways. So when I see a bevy of guys playing both ways, that made it obvious we didn't have our full arsenal guys.
That's correct.
Given that we're still in a kind of a unconventional off season,
Yeah.
by the fall, are you expecting, or at least hopeful, or cautiously optimistic that you're gonna have your full complement of guys to where you should be able to be in position to succeed?
Well, I would like to say that we will have that cadre, but I can't make that promise to you right now because as I said, this pandemic has really changed every dynamic that we could think of when it comes to dealing with our kids. Uh, if we can get them in summer school and get these young men back eligible and back on track, I think we'll probably have about 80% of what we should have had because some are not going to return to football at all because they have gotten tremendously lazy. They don't want to come to workouts now, and we hadn't had that problem, So I see a pendulum swing that I have to be creative and get these kids to buy back into what we've been doing.
Gotcha. And one more thing regarding the last couple of years, man. I'm about to say, I know you're a human being, you're a man, and there have been things that's happened over the last year and a half, 2 years that were
Mm-hmm.
beyond your control, where I felt like you kind of just caught tough luck. I mean, on a serious note, and I don't want to rehash the wounds, but we lost two players tragically that
Yeah,
died on
yeah,
two separate incidents. Had one player died tragically in one incident, and then another player I think got killed in a car wreck,
That's
whatever.
correct. Yes, sir.
And this is all after when we had won a conference championship and didn't get a chance to
Yes.
truly defend it.
Yeah.
Then you come back expecting to have a good team, and then you're down 2/3 of your squad, and then of that little bit that you have, your season gets canceled midway through over, and I'm not going to get into details, but over things that where none of us did anything wrong.
That's
and
right.
It's like, just as a man, because those kids get discouraged, but you're a human, you get upset and get discouraged too. How do you not let that show when you're out there with them? Or if you do, how do you tell them that, hey, we can get through this when you're just as upset as they are and just as discouraged as they are dealing with this?
Well, for me, we talk about adversity all the time, and I tell my guys quite often, life is hard, but it's fair, and even going back to some things that have happened previously that I'm like you, I don't want to discuss, but our kids, they held strong, not being able to defend their conference championship by not going to the playoffs, and until we got to 2020 in the pandemic, we were right on track to be back to where we were, so for me as a man personally, I have to keep my smile on my face in front of my guys, and I'll take the pain and anguish when I get home, because just as well as I know, dealing with the demographic of kids that we deal with there, negativity is all around them.
Yes.
They have so many opportunities to make bad decisions. So I just want to be a good ambassador to those young men to seeing that, okay, well, I may not like the way coach handled it, but by the same token, he didn't get out of character. He didn't have to swing on anybody. You know what I'm saying? He handled it like I would want them to handle it, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
I yield to you guys.
I want to talk about that magical run in 2019. Yeah, I was gonna pick it back off of that about the winning the conference and missing the playoffs because of some sort of negative incident that I felt that was unfair to y'all because the other team actually got in. But I see how the cricket crumbles sometimes. But tell me about that season, man. I want to hear a lot about that season because to me, that was a real special season for some odd reason. I seen state championship written on that season.
Yeah. Well, that season just didn't happen in 2019. I'll go back 4 years before that when those seniors were freshmen.
Freshman, yeah.
Those guys, they came in wide-eyed. They listened. They tried to do things the way we were asking them to do it, but it was kind of difficult because we were so demanding on those guys. And I can remember telling my coaches in the meeting, I'm like, look, we're going to have a running back. We're going to have a quarterback. We got our linebackers. And I'm going to be honest with you, I did not see us having the receivers that we had at that time.
Yeah,
but
that was
Hardison and your boy.
Yeah, well, they developed into a pretty good tandem, and you're right, guys. We had at every level with everything we need to be a state championship team, and I'm not going to expand on what happened at the game, but I told our guys after the game, I'm like, look, there are consequences for everything that you do,
right.
And sometimes, more times than not, we may get the short end of the straw, but that shouldn't deter you from trying to be successful. Don't let that turn you in a negative direction. So it's not hard. It hadn't been hard, but it's been difficult. Trying to make sure that these guys understand that everything we do and everything that happens for a purpose. And let me say this: that running back, quarterback, receiver, linebackers, D line, God knows. Those guys, they sold out on everything we've done up until 2019. I mean, the workouts, the camps, mini camp, and if you hear those guys talk about mini camps, you would think they were in the military because I promise you, we got up at 4:00 in the morning and we run from dark to sun up. Then we'll give them breakfast, shower, and they take a nap, and they were right back here at 10:00. So it was a myriad of things that led us to that 2019 season, and I seen it coming those guys freshman year.
Yeah, you can tell that the work paid off for them because man, it just like that team. It was it jailed. The quarterback
Yes.
was on point. The
Mm-hmm.
receivers, it was like timing. Everything was just go, go, go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Running back tandem, good. You know,
Daquan Sturtevant and Jalen Marshall, that was a killer back
Hey,
tandem.
let me tell you
yeah.
something. Look, those two guys there. I don't think too many defenses want to see them on any given Friday because what Jalen can do was probably outrun you. You know what I'm saying? And what DeQuan can do, he can roll
Run
you
you
over,
over.
then outrun you. You know, so
Yeah.
it was just a special. It was a special year, and as I
And
said, it came from 3 years previous though.
and
Yeah, I
speaking of
worked with a couple guys that were from Piedmont, and they were afraid of y'all. That year, they were just like, "Nah, we playing Anson this week, oh, man. I don't want to see them guys.
Yeah. Well,
They were like, I don't want to see those guys." So they was afraid of y'all that
yeah.
year. I'm like,
Well,
that's our DNA, for years, and
yes.
I'm glad you coming there is kind of bringing that back to the forefront because I graduated in 2000.
Hmm.
I'm sure you probably heard stories.
Yes,
the
sir.
glory days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
glory days.
Yes,
But
glory
so
days,
like
baby.
hearing what you did with those guys the
Hmm.
last couple of years, that they
Yes.
definitely brought back that nostalgia of how I always remember Anson football.
Oh,
So again, I just I'm giving you your flowers. I know you're going to
yeah.
continue to do what you can in the community. I hear great things about you. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I appreciate it, and if I have anything to do with it, that mentality will be back in action on a consistent basis.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I
because
believe it.
we're not letting up even to like we have work. We have 6 o'clock workouts now in the morning. And the only reason I'm doing that is because we have so many kids that have to be in summer school. And I know if they're at workouts, guess where they're going to be next?
At school.
In
School.
class. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I'm
School.
trying to, as I said, I'm trying to be creative
Hey,
to make
I'm
sure
sure
we're taking care of business.
I'm sure Coach Stinson appreciates that.
Yeah.
Making sure-
Well, I hope so.
I still call him Coach. 'Cause I remember when he used to be a coach. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
oh, and one thing I want to single a young man out, and I want to single him out for positivity. As far as what you're talking about buying in, and we just
Mhm.
mentioned him earlier, Jalen Marshall epitomizes buying in.
Yes, sir.
I hope his dad and his mom are listening to this because I sent this to his dad. This kid, his senior year, the previous year he had 10 touchdowns. The senior year, his role changed.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, not once did you ever see him complaining when
Nope.
somebody else was getting touches that you would have thought that he would have been getting, or
Mm-hmm.
someone else was scoring touchdowns when you thought that you would see him just as happy to see his teammates scoring. You would see him willing to go out there and block for someone on the perimeter. You never saw him upset, look like he
Nope.
had a bit of disdain. And he's when you think of a team player, or when I think of a team player, I think that Jalen Marshall epitomizes
Epitomizes it. Yes.
sacrifice and
Yeah.
sacrificing for the benefit of winning ball games with the team.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell you exactly what else he did his senior year. You know, even with his role changing, Jalen Marshall would pick guys up and bring them to practice and take them home. You know, because we talked about being our brothers' keepers. You know, making sure our guys are at practice, and it wasn't a time that I can think of that those guys would call on Jalen and he was there. You know, so and I hate, you know, for whatever reason, you know, things did change, and I apologize, and I hope Jalen knows that I'm forever indebted to him because he's the only reason we had the Marshall plan as a football play. You know, when we were at playing at Cata that year that our stadium was being revamped,
Yep.
we came up with a play called the Marshall plan, and that was put in directly for Jalen Marshall. And 9 out of 10 times when he touched that ball in the Marshall plan, he was taking it to the house, man. So I am forever indebted to Jalen Marshall, and his parents have always been supportive. They've been understanding, and what I love about his dad, he's like, Coach, it's not just about football. It's about education, getting them in
Right.
college and getting them graduating in college, and that's all we've ever preached to these guys, and we're still preaching to these guys. Because right now, as I said, even with my rising seniors, I have to start all the way over. You know, because by now we usually have the NCAA clearinghouse profiles and everything in those guys' hands where they can get their stuff started for college, and I don't know of one kid right now that has one. So I'm starting completely over with our guys. There's new attitudes, new demeanors, you know, just different guys that we have to bring together and get some cohesiveness about them as a unit.
Well, let me ask you this: speaking of going forward and starting over, you're gonna have a rising sophomore quarterback who got to play a handful of snaps as a freshman. On the positive side, he's a coach's kid. So I want to ask,
Mhm.
tell me what that's like and the blessing of having, and I'll say because Coach Hyatt's a good guy. You got Coach Hyatt's kid there, and
Yeah.
I'm sure, and I would think you find it helpful also having Coach Hyatt as a supporter in your corner with this kid being quarterback. Can you tell me is there a different dynamic there having a coach's kid there and a coach who's a friend to the program kind of on your side even if it's in an unofficial capacity?
Yeah, well, just as well as I do, it's always great to have a coach's kid because what you're going to get from those kids are respect, very coachable, hard workers, and most of the time, more times than not, they're going to be pretty intelligent. So having Luke there as a freshman, and he got a chance to earn some varsity snaps. I think moving forward, in a couple of years, I think we'll be back where we were uh, as far as having that quarterback to run the program. And Coach Hyatt, yes, sir, he's been very supportive. He's up in the press box with us on Friday nights, and he's a great football mind. He's a great person. Uh, I have nothing but respect for Coach.
Awesome.
I got a question, and this is it's still pertaining to football and life. So, Coach, what do you get a sense out of more? Do you get the sense out of the victories, or the sense out of that you got these kids to a positive part in life to either go to college or be successful, um, go on to do bigger and better things other than football? Is that the better part of being a coach, seeing the guys succeed outside of the game, or
Well, I'm gonna give you a story, uh, which is a true story about a young man that played for us a couple years ago. His name was Zaquavian Pickett. Played left tackle for us.
Yeah, I know,
Zach,
I know his
I
dad
know it.
did.
yeah, Dale
Yeah,
Pickett. That's what they call him, Dale Pickett's son.
yeah.
Uh, great relationship with Dale and Zaquavian to this day. Zaquavian goes off to St. Andrews and transfers to Fayetteville State to play football. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting in my house just like I am now. One night about 10 o'clock, he calls me. I'm like, "What the hell what's he calling for this late?" I'm like, because I want to make sure nothing was wrong. And he calls me and said, "Coach, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing all right." Pickett, how you doing? Because I call him Pickett. He said, "I'm
Mm-hmm.
all right, Coach." He said, "You got a second?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I've been wanting to call you and talk to you about something." I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" He said, "Well, Coach, I don't want you to be mad at me, but I want to ask you a question." He said, "How would you feel if I decide not to play football anymore?" I said, "Zach Quavian, football is a catalyst, son. I love football and I know what football did for me. But your
Mm-hmm.
degree is far more important than what
Yeah.
football is going to give you to me." And Zach Quavian is graduating in December from Fayetteville State with a 3.2 GPA average. So for
Awesome.
me, yes, sir.
Yeah.
For
Great. That's
me,
great.
for me, my thrills come from watching these kids growing to be young men. We had JP Polk, who graduated from ECU
Yeah.
this year, got into
I
law
know.
school.
I know
Dustin
him and his father
Sellers,
too. Yeah.
yes, sir. Dustin Sellers, who played for us as well, he graduated from Winston-Salem State, got accepted to Daggone Wake Forest Medical School. So
Whoa,
yes,
nice.
sir. And you had Marquez Davis, who graduated from ECU. That right there bring me more pleasure than anything with football. And I'm telling you right now, I've had some highs and highs that come with football, but nothing pleases me more to see those guys walk across the stage and become men. Because my relationship with our players, it's not for 4 years. It's for the next 40 to 50 years. And I
Right.
say that because Timmy Horn calls me one night about 11 o'clock as well while he was at UNC Charlotte. And
49ers?
yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, you go. But anyway, this guy, he says the same thing. He's talking to me about, I want to talk to you about some things, Coach. I need your advice. And I'm sitting here thinking, because I've already talked to Pickett. I'm like, I know Timmy's not talking about quitting football. But anyway, he asked me, he said, "Coach, I have never had a father." He said, "But I want to call you because you like a father to me." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, I want to propose to my girlfriend." And we had a
Mm.
long conversation. I said, "Well, do you love her?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Do you see yourself being with her for the rest of your life?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, Timmy, it's not like to me you're just calling for my blessings because your mind is made up. And when he proposed to her, he sent me pictures when they were at the beach. He was on his knee and everything. So it's like a father-son relationship. I only have one biological son, but I've had many surrogate sons since I've been coaching football, high school football.
Gotcha.
The
Speaking of that, man, since we're getting into that personal element, man, what was it like to actually get to coach your own kid? I'm talking about the kid, your biological son, the one who your namesake.
Yeah.
What was that? How do you separate being dad from being coach?
Well, that was probably the toughest thing for me because my thing with him was I wanted him to be the standard. You know what I'm saying? When he came in his freshman year, he was with Darren Harrington, Sincere Garris, Ronald
Some ball,
Capel. Yeah,
some
some
ballers.
some daggone Shamon Ingram, some great daggone athletes, and here we are. He's coming from North Stanley, which is a good place, but it's not filled with athletes like we have in Anson. So Jaden Dickens, I can't forget him either. Trey Davis, but we get into his freshman year, and we're riding home for about 2 weeks. And he's not saying anything to me. We get close to the house, probably about 5 minutes from the house. I'm like, "What's your problem?" He said, "What you talking about, Daddy?" I said, "Well, we've been riding home together, and we ride together to school and ride back from school." I said, "You ain't been saying a word to me." He's sitting in my back seat. He said, "Well, I just don't understand why I don't get to dress out on Friday nights like the other guys do." And I said, "RJ, now I'm gonna be honest with you. I love you, son." I said, "But I'm not giving you anything." I said, "You're not a good practice player. You don't hustle, and if you can't do those things, then you'll never get a dress out for varsity." And I promise you, since that day, it's like the second or third game, he's been working his tail off, man, and he really became one of our better receivers his freshman year, but he just didn't have the body to go with it. Does that make sense?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
And you can find him at any time at that school outside on that practice field by himself in the rain. And I can remember Darren Harrington said, "Coach, you created a monster." And I'm like, "No, the monster's been in there." And he just kept working. He worked himself into a pretty good football player. So it was a thrill watching my own seed fulfill some dreams like I would want kids that I just coached fulfill, because now he's in college and he's doing really well. He's gonna put on weight. He's gotten faster, so he's become a smarter football player. But he still had a 3.0 GPA, so he's also doing his part in the classroom. So
Awesome.
it's also fulfilling for me to see him because, as I said, I didn't have that coach that he had when I was in high school. I had a coach that just cared about Friday nights, and I'm not knocking him because, as I said, I still respect him to this day. But it was more so about Friday nights, and I want my guys to understand it's about Monday through Sunday when it comes to me and your relationship. So, coaching my son, it turned out to be a pleasant because I seen him develop as well, and I can remember telling my wife when he was playing youth league football, I said he's going to be a late bloomer. He's going to be a late bloomer because he was always slower. The kid was 9 years old wearing a size 12 and a half shoe, so he wasn't fast. He didn't have a lot of agility, but he worked himself into a position to become a real good football player.
He was good. He was a very good route runner, and
Yes.
very good hands.
Well, thank you.
The most sure-handed guy that we had, as far as if it was 3rd and 8 and you needed 8 yards to get that first down,
Yes,
he was
sir.
gonna move. He was a chain mover, so
Yeah.
you couldn't blow the top off with Hardison if he wasn't there underneath.
That's right.
Making those plays. And guys, I ain't gonna hog up all the time because I'm actually getting ready to depart. So I wanna get my last question in, then he's all yours, guys. Oh God, I forgot what I was. Oh, it's gonna get tougher. No more of that A and double A stuff. It's 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A.
Yeah.
So now, like the old days, like when D. Rome was playing. So
Mhm.
no,
so
I didn't play that.
Well, like
But
when
I
I
was
was
there.
playing, yes, sir.
so I don't even know how the playoff structure is. Is it just 2 teams in the league that's going, or what? And are you and are the guys are they aware that hey, it's if we get in, it's going to be much tougher now because it's not like you're not going to have all those 2 and 8 teams and stuff,
Yeah.
bottom feeders and stuff.
No, we haven't even got that far because, as I said, we still have a lot of rising seniors and juniors that are playing other sports. So, but for us as a coaching staff, we've looked at that, and to me, it's gonna be win or go home from here on out. Because if you're not one or two, then yeah, you're going home basically.
Oh, yeah.
and Monroe's coming to the conference now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Beat Monroe.
Hey,
well,
we could play with them. We could play with
yeah,
them.
I like it. I wouldn't have it any other way, And Coach Sal and myself, we talk quite often, but I still want to kick his tail when it comes to football. I owe him. I really
And
owe him.
the good thing, and we don't. We always. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but we always like crap first game of the season. At
Yes,
least
sir.
at least we'll have them at least fifth game. No matter. I'm talking about at the least.
Yeah.
So by that
Yeah.
time, we should be done hit our stride, so we can see both teams
At
at their best.
Yes,
And
sir.
are we at liberty to talk about non-conference schedule, or that's not been finalized yet?
Well, it's pretty final. I mean, the question is going to be if I can get it right. Okay.
Okay.
So, but
there's
ahead.
one game I got circled, and that's
Okay.
the Pinecrest Patriots.
Yes, sir.
That's an old rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
That's Anson County Pinecrest, the old
Four-way
we play,
rival.
the old four and the southeastern 4A.
Yes.
Pinecrest is in a state of transition. Their coach just left,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't take them lightly. They had a good team last year. They
Mm-hmm.
been pretty good the last few years.
That's right.
So they probably got, just on the surface, they probably got more depth than we do.
Mm-hmm.
But I still believe that we can play with them. I hope you're not didn't schedule that for a gate game. I hope you schedule that game to win it.
No, look, we need to make money. Don't get me wrong, but every game that I schedule, I feel like we have a chance to win. So yes, this is a game that we want to win. And right now, we're trying to work some kinks out as far as there was some miscommunication as far as the contracting with Pine Crest, but we're gonna get that right.
Gotcha. And I'll let you go on this one. You get assuming this game is still on, your former defense coordinator, good friend of yours, Anson County native, and the head coach of the team in the city in which you reside, Albemarle Bulldogs, Coach Richard Davis. Hey man, what's that gonna be? What's that gonna be like? I know the Bulldogs aren't the Bulldogs that we grew up watching, but it's still got to have a special feeling. You were a rival to them as a player at West Stanley.
Yeah.
You coached against them. I mean, that program at North Stanley. You
Yeah.
remember when they were a dominant program, and now they're led by a coach who used to be your defense coordinator when you got here, man. How are you going to separate the emotion coaching against your buddy and being ready to go for that one?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say this, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way. If it was my mama on the other sideline, there's not gonna be any emotion because I want to win. Okay,
there we go.
We want to go downhill, hit them in the mouth. We want to do everything we can to win the game. And even with them not being at old Albemarle old, we're gonna be so young this year. We're gonna have our work cut out for us this season.
Hey, we'll see what happens. Hey, I'm about to depart. So, hey, guys, he's all yours. I appreciate you coming on. I'll catch y'all guys later. I'll be listening to hear what else you guys got to say to him.
All right,
T. Take care, man.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You too. No problem.
All right, Coach. I want to ask you a couple more questions.
Yes, sir.
This year's schedule, like he said, it was a mixed conference. So it's a 2A, 3A, Rocky River, or is it?
2A,
Okay.
3A, Rocky River. Yes, sir.
I was looking at I don't know if that was the official schedule, but I was looking at a schedule, and it had, I think, the starting game. This team from Mount Holly. I don't know if that was the actual schedule.
That's right. That's the schedule. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mountain Island Charter. Yes, sir.
Yeah. They are 1A, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're 1A school.
Yes, sir. They're 1A school, which except for this season here, they've been to the playoffs quite often. Coach Robert Washington does a real good job with his program. So I know it's going to be a slobber knocker whenever that game gets here.
And I also was looking on the schedule. I seen Old Foe Piedmont and, like Tyrell said, Monroe.
Yeah.
And I think who else was on there? Well, I know usually the conference is Mount Pleasant.
No, Mount Pleasant not in our conference, but Mount Pleasant we will play them out of conference.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Pine Forest. No, excuse me. It's Mountain Island Charter,
Carter.
Pine Forest. See, now Piedmont, Albemarle, Mount Pleasant. Then we're going to conference play.
Okay.
Where's Pine Forest located? Is that a
Southern Pines.
Southern Pines? Okay, this is one of their newer school.
No, it's an
Okay.
older school, I
That's
think.
an old school, yeah.
Old
Yeah.
school.
I
Okay.
think it's a little town or city, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little area in uh Southern Pines.
Yeah, I don't know the exact location there. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Uh, Coach, transitioning this year, like you said, you got a new quarterback. The difference in between the freshman quarterback, I'm pretty sure, like I said, it takes time to get accumulate to the system. But if you're willing to learn, you become, better.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about Mr. Lear, your quarterback from 2019. Well, I know you had him since he's been a freshman,
Yeah.
and I watched him as well. Can you tell us the
Wesley
come up with
Blair was he was a stud for us coming in his freshman year. And Wesley, just like the kid I had at North Stanley, Antonio, his dad did the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Antonio, from his freshman year to the time I left, was at every 5 o'clock in the morning workouts. When I
Right.
got to Anson and I met Wesley and his dad in the 8th grade, I told him that, I still have more. I have morning workouts at the high school. And once Wesley got to the high school, he was welcome to come there. His
Mm-hmm.
dad dropped him off every morning until he got his license. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember a morning that Wesley Lear missed. He was a hard worker. He was a great leader. And, he was a baseball stud as well. So, baseball took up most of his summer. But when he got back,
He
I
was ready.
mean, oh my goodness. I mean, this is what I would do. And I hope that you guys don't mind me telling this.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Wesley will come back from baseball, and where he was number one when he left, he was number 2 or 3 when he come back. And it just for show, to be honest with you. But this kid,
Coach, can you hear us?
hello,
Okay, I hear you now, Coach. Go
okay,
ahead.
yeah, he worked like he was number 3. He busted his tail every day at practice once he returned from baseball towards the end of summer, and he had to make up all his conditioning for the first 3 days. He's running every year. He hadn't touched a football. The 4th day, he gets to touch a football. Now he's behind 2 guys that we know were not better athletes or a better quarterback than he, but he took it in stride and he outworked every guy. So by the time we got to our first game, it was no question about who was our leader. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for Wesley because he really led our program like we needed it led.
Okay.
Um,
Coach,
kind of piggyback off that same energy. With that, when you play, how have you transitioned probably from the time that you play football? Like I know you talked about how when you was coached and how you wanted to kind of change the narrative on how you want to do things.
Mm-hmm.
How have you taken that and kind of transitioned into like now? Because in time, it's 2 different times of how
Yes.
you kind of motivate kids. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you do that now versus what maybe you were coached back then?
Yeah. Well, when I played, we played a straight T. Then when I played in college, it was an I formation pro set. And from the time I become a head coach to the time I got to Anson, I was a pro set guy.
Hmm.
And
right.
not until I got to Anson did I have a plethora of athletes. So my transition there was, if I don't catch up with the times, we're not going to be successful here.
That's right.
Okay, so we started out with the I formation, but we were trying to teach the guys what we needed them to do once we got into our new offense. So we went to the spread, read dive, and it's been nothing but success for us because we got more athletes on the field, and our guys have been developed. That's something that I know we didn't do when I was in high school as far as development and training. They have been developed from the time that they got to high school to the time they graduated at their particular position. We try to make sure that if you are number one on offense, you're not going to be a number one on defense because we want you to be the best that you can be, if that makes sense. So we definitely try to platoon. So in order to answer your question, transitioning from when I played to where we are now, these kids are a heck of a lot better athletes than we were. They may not be as tough, but they're better athletically because of the training. And I
Right.
promote and I do all the training that we can do with our guys throughout the day in class to try to make them a better athlete, because like this morning, we're in the weight room, we're doing lower body workouts. But those guys are constantly bending, jumping, pushing. We didn't do that in high school. We just bench press and squat.
What? That's it.
Yeah. So I had to learn how to be a football coach slash uh, weight trainer, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
It does.
so so my maturation has come from understanding that this is a different time from when I played. And these kids, they want to daggone be superstars. They want to be pretty. They want to do everything that I don't think is important, but that's their cachet. That's the thing. Those are the things that they love doing. So I have to adjust to that part as well.
Coach, I know you heard about the tradition at Anson, and I like the way that you kind of like broke the mold because Anson for a long time was known as that team that just hand the ball off,
Mm-hmm.
student by the left, student by the right. You
Yeah,
know, that was the basic thing, but it worked for a good while,
it
and
did. Yeah,
and after a while, teams started kind of like veering away. But like you said, if you don't catch up with the time, then you'll see what happens.
yes,
I
sir.
like how you made the offense more open. It's
Mm-hmm.
balanced. You
Yes.
got a
Well,
good
thank
bit of
you.
pass, a good bit of run.
Mm-hmm.
Because like some teams, they know if you're gonna run the whole time, they already know what to set up for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I like how you keep the defense thinking.
Well, thank you.
Where it's like we don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And years now, not years prior to you when I was in school, it was run, run, run. It was not a lot of passing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a lot
Well,
at all.
and I got to give that credit to my coaching staff. Terry Schenkel, when he
Hmm.
was my offensive coordinator, he was very adamant about, well, coach, we need to do X, Y, and Z. So I listened, and my coaches are a lot younger than me. So what they bring to me, I hadn't experienced as a player. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Yes.
get what you're saying.
Yes.
So Terry and Travis Ridenauer, uh, Kellen Rankin, J.F. Harwood when he was there. Their thing was, Coach, we agree with it. We definitely want to open it up. Let's see, can we make these guys a little more successful? And it has worked. Thank God.
Yeah, it worked. That's what I
Yeah.
said. When I seen the difference, I was like, Anson's a full, completely different offense.
Yeah.
Year eight going into 19, that was a
Mm-hmm.
whole different offense.
Oh boy.
And that monster with the running back and the receiving core,
Yes. Yes.
it was
I By far the best team I've ever coached, probably ever been a part of. You know, and going back to changing ants, and when I got there as well, you know the buildings, I didn't like the. We try to change everything to make it a different feel. We changed the colors inside the weight room, inside the field house. We
yeah,
changed the field house around, making the kids accountable for their locker in the locker room. Because what
right,
we do is each week, a different group of guys or classification. Like the freshmen would do it on Mondays, the first week on JV
hmm,
side, and then the juniors would do it on the varsity side. And if that
right,
locker room is not clean and your locker is not clean, your whole group pays for it. So we're trying to teach a little accountability and trying to change the mindset. And like in that weight room, they know it's gonna be sprayed down. I'll blow the floor off because I don't want them to break my blower. But they're gonna
right.
clean the weights up. They're gonna wipe everything down. They're gonna make sure everything put back where they got it from. And something that I always tell our guys, we leave everywhere we go better than what we found it. You know,
That's it. That's
uh,
it.
and we were at Montgomery Central, and our guys left a mess on the sideline. Excuse my language. I hope you don't mind. Like hell no.
Oh,
Get
yeah,
off
I
that
got
bus.
you here.
Get off that bus get out here, get it clean, and get back on the bus and let's go. So they took everything, threw it away. They made sure nothing was left on the bench, and it wasn't that clean when we got there, but it was daggone spick and span, as my grandma used to say when we left there. So yeah,
and I say that's a key to anything, especially coaching, is accountability and standard.
Yes.
And that, I would say, what builds character for these kids, especially it would need to be character with these kids in this day and age. And like you said, with the guys that you named tonight, and how not only they were studs on the football field, they were studs academically, and also trying to also figure life out and the best way to approach life.
That's right.
And like you said, you being a father figure, in that sense, that shows how you're just not coaching the football team. You're building these young men to be men, not just football players. And that's something that I would say is needed.
Yeah, and this area is definitely needed in this area because, like you said, man, it don't take much for these young kids to get influenced by the wrong crowd.
That's right.
And I like the way that you're handling things with these young men, man, because you don't want these kids to get out here now. It's a little bit different than when I was coming up.
A lot different for me, yes.
Step out, but now they'll step out together, and then next thing you know, you done lost them because what they need is guidance, man. They don't have that male figure.
That's right.
To show them the correct way of things going. They so ashamed that their friends are down them.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh man, you can't be doing that. That's not cool. But they just need somebody of the older male figure to guide these guys into a positive way.
Yes.
Because if you can change one person,
there you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You set them out for there. And see, and let's not make any mistakes. We've had kids. We have kids that have played for us that have made mistakes and that have gone to jail and whatever. That's in life, because once they graduate, we want our influence to be there, but our influence may not show up in those kids' lives until 5 or 10 years down the road.
Absolutely.
Because I've had kids that I coached at South Stanley, in which were a great group of kids. I had one kid text me about 8 months ago, and this is 3:00 in the morning. He had gained weight over the COVID, the pandemic, and he wanted to lose his weight. And he said he went back to when we had mini camp when we were at South Stanley. And like I said, mini camp is it's fun once they get through the work part, but it is a serious balls to the wall getting after it the entire day.
Oh, he said, 2 days?
Yes. Well, no, look, 2 days. I'll tell you the other stuff off the radio. But he said that he was on a treadmill and there was a guy beside him. And the guy's running like he ain't got no problem, you know what I'm saying? So he get up on his treadmill, he starts running. The guy speeds up, he speeds up. He said, Coach, I got so tired. All I could think back to is 17 years ago. Now he's a teacher now, to when we were running morning runs. He said, and I would not let that guy beat me. He said that guy stepped off the treadmill and left. He said he was glad he did because when he left, he died. He's like, Coach, I had nothing else in me, but I was not going to let him beat me because of minicamp in 2001. I'm like, wow. It really brought things home to me because, as I said, that was 17, 18 years ago, but now he's seeing why we pushed them so hard, and I think what this society has done is they've created kids to where if you push them and they stop, we accept that.
Yeah,
that's not an option for us. Yes, that's not an option for us. A couple things, I don't kick kids off the team. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna play for me, you're gonna do what I tell you to do. That's not a question. It's not if, ands, or but about it. Now, if you don't want to do that and you walk off, then that's your choice. You were not kicked off this team. You chose to leave this team. You see where I'm coming from? But this is what I found down here in Anderson. They'll walk off mad, and none of them disrespecting me. Now, don't get me wrong. They ain't cussing, but look, they'll leave. And they'll come back the next day and not understanding that, man, I'm gonna have to do this for a whole week, and all I had was 30 minutes. If I'd have done it 30 minutes yesterday, you know what I'm saying? So
It,
where they would have got over it in 30 minutes, now they're gonna have to do it for 4 or 5 days, and I'm not breaking. You know, and Coach Nelson, the
oh yeah.
offensive line coach, we call him the hammer because he does nothing but drop the hammer on those guys. When I say, Coach, they got a week with you, Coach, and I mean he comes up with some of the craziest things, and those kids come in there drenched. I mean,
And,
dirty.
and then I'm gonna tell you something about piggyback off of that.
Yes,
Nelson
sir.
is the backbone, the true epitome of workout. I've
Yes.
seen Nelson work out when we were
Yes.
in high school.
Yes.
And
Yes.
back then, man, I'm gonna tell you something. The competition level in that weight room,
Mm.
that's one summer. I think it was my senior year. I think it was
Yeah.
2005.
Uh-huh.
That back press record got broke 4 times in that one week.
Wow.
They were back and forth.
Yes, sir.
Ronald and Jake,
Yes.
back and forth, and it was
What?
just the camaraderie of it, man. Like
Yeah. It's
you
a
want to
love, it's a
see,
passion. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I know, like now, like you said, they it's different. It's not
Yeah.
how it was,
No. No.
then. But it's if getting it back to square one is the most important thing
That,
because
and that's our mission right there. You know, if you know, I wasn't here in the glory days, but I
right,
have an idea what I think the glory days need to look like. You know, and if we can get our guys like, you guys probably don't know him, but Jack Gaster, who coached at Albemarle,
nah, I
when they
don't know
were,
that.
well, he was the one that won all the state championships back to back when he was at Albemarle 1A.
Oh,
But one thing he did was he had his guys fine tuned and ready. You know,
mm-hmm,
if he played a Chatham Central
mm-hmm.
and they don't score 70,
Mm.
that wasn't a victory to him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
wow.
his thing was, it's not my concern to how good your players are or are not. I want my guys ready to play. So when we get in the playoffs, it's no question. And look, they ran through the playoffs like 4 or 5 years in a row, man. And I mean, just
Oh yeah,
beating people left and right. You know, then when they get to Thomasville, when they got over that hump with Thomasville, it was because he had prepared those guys for years to
yeah,
get to that spot. You know, and that's what I want here in Anson. I want our guys. You know, as I said, we're starting completely over,
right,
but we're trying to prepare for the future. You know what I'm saying? We want to make incremental steps each year to where we'll get back to where we were. And I don't think we're far off, but we just got to get these younger kids stronger. That weight
right.
room is paramount into our success.
Uh,
Absolutely.
like you said, the getting it back to how it was is it really starts from the youth, man. I'm just gonna be honest
Yes.
with you. In my opinion,
Yeah.
I was maybe in elementary school going to Friday night games and seeing
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to do that.
Yes,
That's
sir.
because it was just amazing. It was just seeing some good games back when I was coming up. The
Yes.
Anson Richmond rivalries that were like
Nail
probably the best
biters.
games in the state at that time.
Yeah.
Than the Anson Independence games in that 2000 year.
Yes.
Yeah, those are like by
Those
far
The best
like
games.
like that year I graduated. Just to say like the 2000 year. I mean, it's not to say that was a different era, but
Mm-hmm.
like the bus garage, people were parking as far as the bus garage, walking
Sure.
down to
to
the
coming in the
stadium.
game.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Seriously,
they were parking
Wow.
that far back. That one game, I think they had almost close to 10,000 people.
Yes, sir.
10,000.
Yeah, they had to
Wow.
bring bleachers from different schools just to sit people down.
That's well. Once again, you know, I don't know if we have those numbers as far as that support there, but we want to get as close as we can. You know, to being to feeling that level of success, and it can happen. Don't get me
Well,
wrong.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
It can happen. It's just gonna take everybody understanding that the progressional steps that we're taking now is leading us to where we want to be. And if we can keep these kids uh, motivated, you know, keep these kids on a positive road, just sit back and watch. As Terrell Owens would say, T.O. would say, get your popcorn out, baby.
popcorn ready.
Get your popcorn out.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Get it ready. Because I
And
mean,
see,
we got some young guys. I don't mean to forgive me for cutting you off, but
You right, you right.
we got some young guys now, man. They're just so athletic. They are now just starting to work hard, and most of them didn't even get to play their sophomore year because of eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we got to get these kids accustomed to what we've been doing here at Anson for the last 6 years because it has been the staple of our success in
Yes,
the
right.
classroom, on the field,
Yeah.
even in the community. I can remember my first 2 years there. Tavion Rory, Dustin Sellers, and it was one more young man with him. There was a lady, older lady, that her car had went off into a ditch, and
Mm-hmm.
she didn't know me from Adam, but she made it her business to find out who Coach Jackson was because those guys stopped and helped her get her car out the ditch and made sure she got, she took off safely. You know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and
So
see, and those were bricks that were laid, as I said, 4 or 5 years ago from guys that were here when I got here that bought into what we were doing. Now, Tavion is at Winston-Salem State getting ready to play football. So, I mean, it breeds success in so many different ways if people would just buy in.
yes, absolutely. You plant the right seeds.
Yes, sir. We're
Yeah.
trying. Yes, sir. We're trying.
Plant the right seeds. And I think these guys they see that and they see and I think that's a good thing too, if like I said, the term reach one, teach one, or teach one, reach
Yes.
one,
Yes, sir.
that's going to be pivotal, and you're definitely a epitome of that. You're reaching the
Well,
guy,
well, thank you.
and if
Yes,
that
sir.
guy, one guy sees that, these guys
Hmm.
want to gravitate to that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Well.
that's that, and I see that in you. Like I said, and I never met you personally, and I've been gone from Anson for a while, but
Hmm.
what I heard again, I heard great things about you, and these from
Well,
like
thank
guys
you.
from different schools,
Yes,
like
sir.
so I know it's back, and I
Yeah.
know you're there to teach these guys.
Well, we're there, and as a staff, as I said, I got to give my staff all the credit because those guys, they do a great job. They know exactly what I want, and they try their best to make sure that we're not far off of that mark that I'm trying to get to, and even the first year when I brought them in with me, a lot of them didn't understand me. They didn't like it. They were like, "Man, coach, you trying to kill these guys?" I said, "No, sir. It ain't trying to kill them. It's trying to break them."
Yeah.
Because if you can outwork a kid's attitude, you ain't got to worry
Exactly.
about that kid attitude. I mean, it's gonna solve itself. It's gonna solve itself as a problem. And one thing they the kids pick on me for three things. One is my bald head. Two is I blow the whistle constantly. And three, I love to ride that gator. So if you talk to any guy that has ever played for me, those are probably the three funniest things they're gonna tell you about Coach Jackson. So and that's just a relationship. And I give them a hard time and I allow them to 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 joke around and have fun with me as well.
And again, like I said, beginning, like you said, the starting the seeds. Like
Hmm.
I know back in the day, here used to be it was more sports oriented, and no matter what sport it was,
Yes.
basketball, baseball, uh,
Athletes.
yeah, pop
Yes.
one, man. People wanting to play sports. Like
Yes,
they
sir.
don't. I don't honestly think that. Do they even still have pop one in this area?
We do, I know when I came down here, I met with Parks and Rec, Jeff Wisner,
Right.
Yeah, I
and
Yeah.
used to
yeah,
work for him a long
yeah.
time ago.
Well, I'll be
Real
honest with
good
you.
guy.
Yes, sir. He's done nothing but right by us in the program. I'm heavily involved with the youth program. I'm heavily involved with the middle school program, and I want those kids to know me by name and by face. As I
Right.
said, the pandemic has changed a lot of that. But if we get back to some type of regular schedule, uh, I'm going right back to that mark. Because I'm at every youth game, when they play at the high school, or if they
Right.
play in Stanley County, or I've traveled to Montgomery County, to watch our kids play. Now the parents don't get to know me that well, but I want those kids to know who I am because I want to see what we got coming. And we haven't
Right.
had any success youth league thus far, but it was a building process. And I don't know where we're going to be once we get started back. Hopefully we can get a good group of kids to come back out and play youth league football so we can see exactly where our measuring sticks are.
And see, I like you to speaking on that. I was at a when Anson playoff game. I think this has been a couple years ago. If I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken, it's 2013.
Okay.
They were playing. We went to Havelock.
Yes.
Yeah, and we met a couple of the guys. I think they were coaching their middle school, and they was
Mm-hmm.
telling us how it works. They were
Mm-hmm.
like, "We train these kids from Pop Warner. We
That's
teach
right.
them this offense. When they
Yes.
get to middle school, they already know what to do, and by the time they get
Yes.
here,
It's second nature.
yeah, it's second nature, and
Yeah.
that's why they win so many championships
That's
because
right.
they have that formula that isn't set, and they know that the kids know what to expect, coaches
Mm-hmm.
know what to expect, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like in this one chord.
Yes. Yes.
And it made sense because the guy was like, he said, "I know y'all had a pretty good team years ago." He said, "But the success rate up here, these kids are winning
Yeah.
at youth level,
Yeah.
and when they get to middle school, this is nothing."
When
What
they get
they
to
do
high school,
now, they do that in middle school.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and that's what and I learned that part from Jack Gaster at Almar because he was the same way. Uh, Almar and all I could do is talk about Almar because I'm from here, But I played at West Stanley. But
right.
Almar was the only county team that didn't have a youth league. When he got hired here in the '90s, he made sure they started a youth program.
Wow.
And what he did with that youth program, he made it look just like the high school. They had the white helmets with the big blue A on it. They had the
Hey,
blue jerseys. So, and even like when I got to Anson down here, we had green. I don't know what color jersey we had down there. Like, look, no, I want everything to be identical to what we do at the high school.
and see,
So,
that's because they used to do we separated by the elementary school.
no, I don't want that. I mean, look, we're sending them to one high school, okay?
Absolutely.
One middle school, and when they go to those places, they're gonna have on the same colors. So we only got one youth league program, and I wanted it to look like the middle school and the high school. And thank God for Jeff Wazen because he bought into it. He went out. He allowed me to choose the uniforms and the helmets, and they purchased them from the county.
County,
So
yeah.
so they look just like the high school now. So I
Wow,
I,
that's
I know
good.
things are
That's
going in
great.
the
Yeah,
right direction. Yes, sir. They got
Yeah,
the
like I said,
orange
he's a
helmets.
real good guy, stand up
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
That's all I know. He's all about that. And he's been there for years, and this is like
he
I said,
has.
he's about the Anson County. He's really involved with
Mm-hmm.
the community when it comes to like the park, recreation and
Yes,
crazy.
sir.
sports and stuff like that. So it's good that he bought into what you feel was something that's important, starting from the bottom,
Yep.
getting to the top,
Yeah.
and the kids see that and see the importance of how the community is, because it starts like it's a community thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you keep that within, it's gonna grow. It's gonna grow just
Yes.
like an oak tree, and it's gonna be big.
Yes,
But
sir.
by the
Yes,
time they
sir.
get to that level in high school, that's all they're gonna know is I'm an Anson County football
Bearcat.
player,
Yes, sir. And that's what we want.
and that's all it's about right now.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's what those are
Community.
seeds that we're planting. And and I keep telling my guys that when I got here in 15, because they look at everything, because every year I try to add something to our program. Like I say, we did the weight room, we did the field house, we did the uniforms, we did the helmets, and they look at me and say, Coach, why didn't we get that? I say, guys, y'all are the foundation. You know what I'm saying? The
Absolutely.
foundation, you don't even get to see most of the foundation until they build it up where, 5 or 6 foot high.
Right.
So you guys are what we're standing on, and we didn't win. We didn't win any games there, to be honest with you. Not many, but y'all are what we're standing on. So what y'all did is solid, and now what we're doing from here, guys, we're adding to what you did 6 years ago. And they see it now because Ben Smith, who played for me, probably one of the skinniest D linemen that you ever see.
Yeah,
Uh,
nephew, that's nephew there. I know
yeah,
I
boy,
know
hey,
exactly what you're talking
love him to death, you know what I'm saying? But he'll always text me, love you, coach, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, you got those boys going the right direction, you know what I'm saying? Because when they hired me here in 2015, I interviewed in 2014.
right.
I told them, and I said, well, I have my 5-year plan is to get better each year and to have a conference championship by year 5.
He did it.
And that's how God works. That ain't nothing but God there, because everything we did, guys, everybody, they still throwing darts at me, throwing knives at me, trying to cut it down, but we stayed the course. And year 5, whether we didn't get the playoffs, but those kids did what we said we were going to do. We won a daggone
Absolutely.
conference
You won the
championship.
championship.
Yeah, bingo. So if you ask me, yes, the proof is in the pudding. And those guys that were, and the ladies that were in there when they hired me, I told them those exact words. Matter of fact, I even had it written down. And I come in with the acronym RTD. That's return to dominance. And now it's a school mantra. We've been
I've
having
seen
that
it.
for, yes, sir. I created that when they interviewed me. That was the first thing they seen on my paper. RTD, return to dominance. Then we
Cause I
added
was like, we
+2.
gotta get them shorts there. I was like, I like
Yeah.
them shorts here because
Yes,
we
sir.
just got the standard orange, just
Yes.
regular shorts. I'm like,
No,
we
I
gotta
wanted
keep doing it. I want a
I,
pair of these.
I wanted to make it a brand. Okay, I
I
want it
get
to be a
it.
brand. Yes, sir.
That's what we need, and they see that that'll be engraved
Yes.
Yeah.
in
Yes.
their minds, and even like I said, if the kids see that, what's that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Turn dominance, and they'll take that as an 8-year-old.
Bingo.
Work
Keep going. Yes, sir.
13.
Yes.
Trying
Because
to
some
get
of
it.
those, honestly, I like I said to you in that era now, I'm not gonna say all those kids don't know, but those pictures in that weight room, those kids should be looking at those pictures,
Yes.
knowing
Well,
those people laid a lot of foundation
yes. Yes.
for that out
But
there. That was
can I take you a place though?
yeah. Take me somewhere.
In my classroom, because I teach weightlifting,
Mm-hmm.
most of those kids come in the first couple of days. Who are all these people up here? Where they from? I said, they played here. You know what I'm saying? They all were
Wow.
all conference players or all state or all Americans that played
American.
right here that came through this weight room. It was like,
Yep.
really? I said, yes. So you
Mm-hmm.
looking at the history of Anson High School.
Yeah,
You
and it
know,
goes back. It
And I
goes back
yeah,
to
and I
my
got
yes,
cousin,
and a
the
guy in my
junkyard
neighborhood
dog.
played said Hope. He lives in my neighborhood,
yes, sir.
and
Yes.
like we freaking him about a lot when we talk when I see him. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like people like that, they don't realize like these people
Lord.
went off and went
Yes.
somewhere and like
Yes,
did
sir.
things. Like
Yes.
even I'm sure y'all still have him up in your locker room, junkyard dog.
Dog.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like that. That's the epitome of where
Well, we can go as a
we,
look,
ignorant.
as
He's a Fayetteville State guy.
yep,
Played
yep.
at Fayetteville.
All
So
American there. Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yeah,
So
well, and we we want to give those guys that, because I'm not taking those pictures down. All I'm doing is trying to add to them,
Right.
absolutely.
And what I've
That's
done is the guys that have made all conference for us, we started on the other side of the wall. We're bringing those back towards the guys that are, and the guys that are in college. So we're trying to make them understand that it's your turn now. If
absolutely.
if we run out of place of space, now we'll start have to figure out what we need to do as far as where we move somebody else to. But we want you guys to be the legacy that you're looking at that you don't understand right now.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and like I said, I figured some of them may have knew because some of them are parents of some of those people. I
Mm-hmm.
do know, and
Mm-hmm.
some of those kids do like I can't think his name. His dad, Antoine.
Oh, Antoine Marsh.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah.
His son
Now
played for us last year.
that was a freak of nature. If you got
Man,
to see him play
I've
in
heard
high
nothing
school,
but great things about that guy. And his son played for us. He played all 4 years. He graduated last year. He's at Shaw now.
yeah,
Antoine Marsh was at quite a few games.
yeah,
And what I like about it, as good as he was, he never was really hard on his son. You know what I'm saying? He was there as a supporting
of
cast,
course,
not
yeah,
as you didn't do it like I did it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and that's
So
how it should be.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got to make your
Absolutely.
own. You got to make your own footsteps. I can't.
absolutely. He was so supportive, man. I'm like, wow, to be that good or to have been that good, and to understand that my son's not me. We're gonna let him go into who he's gonna be. that speaks volume of the person of him.
And like I said, you said Ben Smith was a kind of a small defensive line,
Yes, sir.
and his size,
Woo!
he was stout, but he wasn't like a big one. But
Yeah,
he wreaked havoc,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
played against some good people in the state too. I was wondering that when they got in the playoffs, now
Mm-hmm.
he held his ground.
Yeah. Talking about Ben, right?
Ben and
And
Antoine,
that's okay. Yeah. Because see,
yeah.
Ben thing, uh, I can remember, and I'm gonna tell you a couple stories about Ben. When I got there, we were at mini camp
Mm.
that first summer, and Ben said, and I got there March 2nd of 2015. Now, mind you, mini camp starts at the end of July of 2015. And Ben got up and said, Coach, now, because we had like a open forum where guys got up and talk or they perform or whatever. He said, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. He said, I don't know how you did it. I said, what are you talking about, Ben? He said, because you walked into a place that was dark. He said, before you got here, it was like a dark cloud over here. He said,
It
now
was.
it looks like everything's just lightening up. It's like things are happening that's good. And I said, well, Ben, I don't know if I brought that here, if it was already here, just need somebody to push it. You know where I'm coming from? He said, well, I'll be honest with you, Coach. He said, I'm glad you're here because I can see the things changing. And my first conversation with Ben was I watched Ben play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben didn't play with, he had emotion, but he didn't have any passion, if that makes sense. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yeah.
He wanted to be mad and everything else. No, I'm like, Ben, that's going to get you kicked out. I said, you need to play with that passionate look. You need to play with that passion and then play with a great motor. He was like, well,
Right.
what do you mean when you say motor? I said, you never stop. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd be dadgum if he didn't take that and run with it, man. Because as I said, Ben was probably 180 pounds, and I'm probably giving him 10 pounds. But they could not block. They couldn't block him, man. They
Mm-mm.
couldn't block. They could not block Ben Smith. I
That's
mean,
that's in his blood. I'm gonna put it that way.
yes. I mean, he played like an animal, and I'm like, dude, you the man. And what Ben used to love to do, for some reason, he liked to wrestle me every time. Like once he got to know me, he grabbed me. I said, Ben, don't grab me. So he said, Coach, I can take you. And we're in the office, me and the coaches and Ben just come over. I'm sitting in my chair. He jumped on me in my chair. So I get out my chair and I pick, and he's 6'3" or better. And I picked him up and I slammed him. He said, Coach, you
Mm.
trying to hurt me? I said, no, I'm too old to be playing with you. If I'm gonna slam you, I'm gonna slam you hard so you know that I ain't playing no more. But until the day until he graduated, Ben would grab me just to wrestle. And that's just him saying, I love you, Coach. You know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Ben. He's a father now, and he says something about what we did. It is always spoke about being a great father, great role model, great community leader. And he said, Coach, that's what I'm trying to be. I said, well, Ben, if you with your son, you're already doing that, son. So don't even, just keep doing it. Just keep working and keep taking care of family.
That's it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Coach, what's the summer schedule looking like for this year? The camps and what are we expecting?
Well, we
Uh,
can't have mini camp this year because of summer school, but we're gonna
okay.
start 7-on-7s June the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do 7-on-7 tournaments. We're gonna go to St. Aug in
Mm-hmm.
June. We're gonna go see one of Ants and Greats, Jimmy Lindsay down at South Carolina, University of South Carolina. They're gonna have
Yeah.
a 7-on-7 tournament there, and then in July we'll go to Pembroke for another tournament. So we're gonna try to get as many 7-on-7 games and as many 7-on-7 tournaments as we can get into, because right now we need all the football reps that we can get as a program.
Gotcha. Uh, with that being said, man, I appreciate you for coming up here, man. Coach, if you got anything you want the people to know out here, the floor is yours. Because
Well,
I want the youth to know that trying to make some change, and I want to put this out here so they can hear this and
yeah.
they will know.
Well, as I said, uh, I want people to know that I am proud to be the head football coach of Lansing High School. We've had our shortcomings. We've had things that happen that we couldn't control, But one thing that has not changed about Ralph Jackson and his program, Ralph Jackson has been working during the pandemic. And once we get our kids back together and united as a program, they're gonna work just as hard as I've worked throughout the program, throughout the pandemic. So know that Anson football is back on the rise, and we will be back to see those guys again for the conference championship and moving forward to the Daggone State playoffs.
That's what I like to hear, Coach, man. I appreciate you for coming up here, man.
Absolutely, it's an honor again,
The,
and
the honor is all mine, guys, because I promise you, I love doing these type things. You know, as I told you earlier, anything I can do to promote Anson football, Anson County, and our kids, I want to be on that forum.
And this is the right one to be because I'm putting this out all on the book so people will
Thank
know.
you. Yes, sir.
This is sharing. You can share it as well because
Okay.
I sharing is caring, and
Yes.
and
but
always
I really want to get this out to the youth so they can at least have a chance and understand that there's somebody out here that actually cares about it.
absolutely, and I see that, and I hear that genuinely that you care, and
Yes.
that's the most important thing that especially our youth, especially Anson County, need to show that we do care and we do believe in you, and we know
Yes.
that you can succeed and
Yes,
be
sir.
somebody growing up. So that's like I said again, kudos to you. And like I said, I hear great things about you. And hopefully this year I'm gonna try to get down there.
Please do.
And check y'all out.
I'm definitely there.
Well, let me know, guys, if I can do anything to help. I got you.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Coach, man. We appreciate you for coming on the Coach for Controversial podcast. Anytime you feel free, man, come on up here, man. We more than welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Oh, no problem, Coach.
All right.
All right.
Yep.
Great night.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, guys. Everybody have a good night.
You too. God bless y'all.
God bless you.
All right.